Good evening and welcome to episode 2 of the Go TAFE Goulburn Valley Footy Show. The real deal. And talking about Goulburn Valley football right alongside me, John Ryan. JR, how are you, mate?
Very good, and it's good to see Guy here. And
Johnny.
if they haven't noticed, Foxy, we've got our new attire, T-shirts on.
Yeah, I bought the lumpy model. You'll notice there's a few lumps. I've been in the gym pumping a bit of iron and I'm just bulging everywhere. Well, what a week it was in the opening stanza. It was an absolute beauty.
Yeah, it was, Foxy. Seen a couple of games at the weekend, went and had a look at Kai and the Bulldogs, and the Bulldogs were brave for 3.5 quarters. Kai just got over them in the end, but seen a really good game of footy on Saturday, Guy. Mooroopna and the Swans. Really top-class game of football. Went along with my esteemed judge here, and we thought it was an excellent game of footy, especially first up.
Okay, let me tell you a few things that are headed your way through the GB show. One is about round 6, thereabouts, we'll be introducing, which we did last year with great success, the story of John Ryan's top 50 early stage. Stage 1, he has 2 stages to his top 50 in the Go TAFE Goulburn Valley Footy League. Does it about round 6, and then on the last show of the year, you'll find out who has made the real deal top 50. Further on within the show, we're going to try and tell you who we think at this early stage, who will finish in the top 6. And we're going to have 4 picks each on the Morrison Medal. But so, without any further ado, I'll tell you what I'll do. JR, pressure's on.
Yes.
Morrison Medal, you're nominated for.
My nominated for the Morrison Medal, I've got Will Martinello. I think he's a big chance to go back to back. I think Timmy Luby, who ranked 3rd last year, by all reports, very good at the weekend. Shane McDonald, seen this bloke firsthand last year. He's going to be a superstar in this league. And a kid I reckon is going to take the league by storm this year. He's only 21 years of age. He's 22 now, Lockie Smith, I think. And I'm very surprised.
Prince Galahad.
Oh, look, I'm surprised no one put him on the rookie list. I think the bloke's got something special going for him. But they're my fault.
Okay, well, Guy, your time.
Top 4, boys. I reckon I'm going to go for Luke Morgan. I reckon he's going to steer Benalla this year and really step up the plate. So I think for the medal, it's going to be one of the top sides, But I think Luke Morgan this year will get the chocolates. I think closely followed by a fella from Rochester, Ash Watson. I reckon he could stand up and impress. George Burberry from Mansfield. I reckon George could take the league by storm. And a fella from Shep, I reckon we're going to see a bit more of this year up and about, is Daniel Willis as a little smoky, boys.
You played pretty well on the weekend, Johnny, under lights.
Yeah, he kicked 6, but a lot depends on how many AFL games he plays, or VFL games he plays.
Yeah. All right, well, you've heard there 4. I'll nominate my 4 now and I'll cop it for sure. A bloke who was a favourite a couple of years ago, and I still think that he's got Morrison Medal opportunity this season, played pretty well on the weekend, and that's Paul Kirby from the Tatura Football Club. I rate him as a ruckman. He's kicked 4 or 5 on the weekend in a losing side and has a real presence. People say, well, how come you never went Jamison Daniel? Jamison's a boy that's going to play under extreme pressure as playing coach and will be tagged week in, week out. This competition's tried everything on Kirby and he still keeps standing tall. So I still reckon Kirbs.
Do you think he can get enough 3 votes, David? If they don't win enough games, like he's only going to get 1 vote, isn't he?
Yeah, well, maybe. Well, we'll see what happens, but history will tell one way or the other.
Will he play in the ruck all year, boys, or will he play up forward? 5 goals, 2 on the weekend.
Yeah, look, Friday night watching him play, I was impressed him at 4. They gave him a target, and they're going to have a target because they're going to be down a little bit. It's no use getting the ball and just bombing it down there and it's coming out again. They can bomb it down there. He can take a catch. No, his presence will be down there, and they've got young Flynn to do the ruck work. So, and he'd look in a pinch hit. Flynn might give him a spell. Yep.
Okay. I still think Luke Morgan is, probably the favourite amongst us all. I think he'll run a big race. Luke won it in his first year, runner up last year. Cost me the worst haircut in Australia, the Ivory Prince, so he better have a better year this year. But
you're only after an invitation to that wedding.
No, I'm singing. I told you that.
Oh, you're singing. Yeah, that's right. We're the wedding.
Sammy Little's page boy. Can you believe that?
Is he?
Sammy Little, the biggest.
He's holding the ring.
Yeah. He's gone into the biggest. He's gone into the Guinness Book of Records as the biggest page boy ever known to mankind. Big Sammy Little and Willie W.J. Armstrong's trying to get in, and Wally trying to get in and out-sing us. If you heard the latest there. But anyway, Paul Scanlon is another nomination for me from the Seymour Football Club. Now, everyone's saying Father Time's caught up with Paul. Just wait and see.
Good player.
His nickname is Chewy. I'd rather just call him Paul Scanlon. He's a great player. We all know that, and he's a proven vote getter at this level, and I reckon Paul's in for a great year. And a fella now, I reckon it's time for him to really come of age, and I think he will this year. He's one of my favourite players in the competition, and he's a left footer. We've got some great left footers here, and Libby's a beauty at United. But I reckon Tommy Sheldon,
good player.
I reckon Tommy Sheldon could come out and surprise a few.
I think he was 6th or 7th last year with about 14 votes.
So good luck to all those boys. I know I'm going to cop it for a couple of mine, but that's the way
and there's probably
it goes in the footy.
One bloke we probably have left out, Brett Meredith at Seymour. I think he's an absolute gun too.
Absolutely. You know, and the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
But we've kept it to 4, and we hope you enjoyed that. Other thing we do, if we go to the footy on Saturday, it's always time where people come up and say, "Hey, we watched your show. Can you send us a cheerio?" So I'll start it off, John.
Yep.
The girls are working the canteen at Mooroopna. I think Kaz is over there, and she always comes up and says, "G'day, Foxy, how are you?" And she said g'day to me before she said g'day to him, and he never stopped talking until 10 minutes after the game had finished. So g'day to all you ladies.
She actually said you were good looking.
Yeah, that's exactly.
You need to go to Specsavers.
That's exactly right. What did happen? And Anthony and Carol. Now I know you are, and I know you are, but you watch regularly, and you're a funny man, Anthony. And Carol, well, they call her Mrs. Football, and I would be not game to take her on. But g'day, and thanks for watching.
That's Anthony and Carol Luby.
Oh, well, I was trying to keep it a secret,
right,
John.
yeah, fair enough.
Righto, so go on. Now, you want to send a cheerio to Nola?
Yeah, and the kids. No, first of all, it's Friday night. Ran into Steve Daniels down from Queensland.
All of him?
Yeah, all of him.
Been in a very good paddock, Steve?
Yeah, no, he's not too bad in the Nick, Steve.
No, saw him on Facebook.
I had a couple of cans of Coke there, but...
Facebook.
Steve said he watches the show every week, and he said, JR, make sure you send a cheerio to me this week. So cheerio to Steve. And a girl in Tatura, Sue Atkinson. Sue, she had a go at me last night. She said she watches. She surprises me that she watches the show, but she watches the show every week. So Susie, I'll send you a cheerio.
Good on you now, Guy.
Boys, couple Cheerios here. One to our very esteemed racing trainer over in Euroa, David Hayes. Be good to see if we can get him on the show. Foxy's had a chance or not?
The money's right. If he gives us half of one of his good horses, if the money's right, we'll get him on.
They've been getting a few winners lately.
As long as he doesn't bring that big white dog.
And another cheerio, boys, I'd like to send out to an old mate of mine over in Mansfield, actually, Matty Storer. I don't know if he watches the show, Matty, but if he does, he's taking on the role of the reserves over there this year, which I know from last year's was a big challenge. Lovely fella, Matty Storer.
Butcher by trade.
He's a butcher.
He's not scared to send some around on the dish lickers either, I reckon, Matty.
No, he's a gentleman of the GVFL.
My word, he is.
Well, Foxy, now comes the big one, the top 6.
Yeah, certainly. It's one where we haven't even seen Seymour or Euroa show their what sort of ammo they've got in their artillery at this stage. But first off, for the top 6, we'll go to Guy Morford.
Oh, thanks,
Guy,
David. Thank you very much. My top 6, boys. I don't think we can go past Benalla.
You're kidding, Benalla?
Is that a joke, David?
Go on.
No, I don't think we can go past Benalla after last year. I think they're going to be a bit of a surprise packet this year, boys. Then I'm going to go for Shep United. Third on the ladder, and then I'm going to come in fourth with Seymour, the Seymour Lions. I think they've got a little bit more artillery this year and a few more players on the park. Kyabram, I'm going to sneak in there, and for fifth, and I think Swans are going to just sneak in the 6th place. Just.
Okay. Well, that's going to be the question. Go, Johnny.
My 6, I've got 5, and I've got 3 going for one spot. All right?
Yeah.
So on top, I've got Benalla, I've got Mooroopna, Seymour, United, Swans. And for 6th spot, I think Kyabram, Rochester and Mansfield will fight out for 6th spot.
Okay, well, my final 6, and I'll tell you what my final 6 are, and Benalla. I think we're all unanimous. Say, look, they're beaten in last year's grand final. There's been a bit said, and I know Luke Morgan does it. History, as far as he's concerned, is what happened last year. He's focused entirely on season 2015. They got a bit about him this year too, the Saints.
Foxy, just going on that, a lot of people have spoken about Benalla and Guy last year about him losing. I think what people forget, they had 14 or 15 players, 21 years and under. Now, that's inexperience, and things like that are always going to happen to young players like that. Now, that 12 months experience, They'll learn a lot in 12 months, those kids. Like, they're only kids. Now, kids going out and playing the grand final, they could have got overall, but I think people forget the fact that they had that many blokes under 21 years. Now, 15 is a lot. So if you can keep that group, Foxy, right, you're going to have a massive side for a long time.
It's a good stat, Jay, and they're building. Obviously, they're building their core. What Morgan's doing is building his core around those young blokes.
Oh, definitely. Sorry, David, go on.
No, you're right. So we're agreed that Benalla will be very hard to beat. My second top side this season is going to be Seymour. And I'll tell you for why, and people are saying, how can you had to go me off air, and he did. But when you've got a spearhead as competitive and as natural as what Sard is, they've recruited another one in Bonjetti. If those two can work really well together, they pick up Scanlon, they've got Meredith. The two brothers weren't on the field exactly all last year. They've got boys like Cole to run around.
Lorraine's back.
Lorraine's back from Coburg. It'd be good to see Jake back. You've still got campaigners like O'Keefe. He'll be the general of defence. They're going to be a very, very competitive side, the Lions, and I reckon they're going to be extremely hard to beat on their own mud heap, but even away, they'll be very, very competitive.
They'll be competitive, Foxy, but top two is a big call.
United were down in one area last year, and I thought they were down in height. And to my way of thinking, I saw them play Wodonga Raiders up at Rumballara during the off-season, and they recruited a few boys down there.
Leeds, Curry,
and McInerney. They've all got that 6'2", 6'4", 5 capacity about them and can play with it. Luby, of course, is the key to them, and it's their off-field department that with Vanderdonk down there, he'll be able to have a massive input there. I'm not saying that Hawley didn't do a great job either, but just a little bit of change might be just the injection they need at United. I think the Swans will finish up around about 4th at this stage. They've lost a bit, and you can understand the Swans slipping a little bit with their playing personnel. Still a great side, and they are a super competitive side.
They had three quality players out last week, so that's going to strengthen them up a bit more.
I think Rochi will stay in the hunt for finals football this year. I think they'll finish around about 5th. And I saw enough from Mooroopna on the weekend to suggest that when they beat the Swans, I know they played them at home, but it would suggest to me that Daniel Lewis was fantastic. They've recruited a few boys, John, and we're going to just briefly go over what we will call the feature game of the week, and it is the Mooroopna Swans game. But I think Mooroopna will just hang in there now. Probably my biggest slider in that area to play finals football would be Tatura and Kyabram. I think they'll miss out this year.
Oh, Tat will. Yep. Kai will be around about the mark. That's why I had Kai, Roger and Mansfield going for 6th spot.
Okay.
And just before we go, Dave, we brought up last week about some of these boys playing down the VFL.
Yep.
And the ruling, we weren't 100% sure. Found out the ruling, if they play 10 games, they're not allowed to come back and play GVL football. Well, the GVL deferred that this year. It is not on this year, but I think it'll be on the tables next year. But they have to play 6 games to qualify for GVL footy. So if they go down there and play 1, they've got to play 6 GVL games to qualify. But next year, the 10 games...
for finals.
Yep. And next year, the 10 games, I think, will come in.
Yeah.
If they play 10, then they're not allowed to come back.
I think it's a great...
just clear
I think it's fair. And,
I think it's terrific.
I mean, I really do. And it'll all work out in the flip around. There's no doubt about that whatsoever.
For sure.
Now, I just alluded to the fact we're going to talk about our feature game from last week, and it was Mooroopna and the Swans. Let me tell you, the ground at Mooroopna was perfect. It's as good as you'll ever see Mooroopna football ground. It was a beautiful day, wonderful conditions to play football. The Swans were ready to come out. They were reigning premiers. They unfurled their flag at home next week, I think, John. But Mooroopna were ready for them, and Mooroopna are a vastly improved unit. They've got a lot more balance about them. So, Johnny, what were the things that impressed you about Mooroopna?
Oh, the first thing that Mooroopna impressed me was Shane McDonald. Look, gee, he's got something special going for him, this bloke. He's a nuggety. Like, he's just a walk-up in the league player. He was just terrific. He kicked three goals too. And the thing I liked about it, and I always believe, and I'm a firm believer in GVL footy, we're not playing AFL. When he came off the ball guide, they pushed him forward. They pushed him into the pocket. Now, we can do that at GVL level. There's no this on and off. I don't know about that. I tell you, bloke Foxy, I thought played probably his best game I've seen him play at Mooroopna for a long time was Trent Freer.
Great game. Yep.
I thought he was really good. And I remember last year we spoke about a kid by the name of Dean Smith. Gee, he's running through the midfield. I thought it was terrific. This kid, he's going to go somewhere. This kid, he's really... Ryan Thompson, new player in there, plays off half back, goes through the midfield. Thought he was very, very good. Daniel Lewis, it was a good matchup. He kicked 1 goal 5. He's just got like when he's running into kick goals, guy, he's not balanced. I think he just needs to run in a little bit more fluent. You'd like to get hold of him for an hour or so and just sort of straighten him up because he's a sensational player. He played on Matty Keys, and I think he definitely had the better of Matty Keys.
Where did they play him, Joe? Out of the
centre half forward. Centre half forward. He went
in the pivot a few times.
He went in the pivot a couple of times because Jesse Webster and then Joey Sullivan got injured, so he had to give him a bit of a spell, but he did that well. Brett Aho, he kicked 4 goals too, Foxy. I think all he's got, he was impressive. He's just got to improve his overhead marking. I think he needs to strengthen up there. Kane Boy is good, but there was a bloke by the name of Pat Compton. Watched him play last year. I thought he was okay, but gee, his game on the weekend, he really impressed me. His hard running through the midfield was absolutely magnificent, and I reckon he would have been close to Mooroopna's highest stats winner. I thought he was really, really good. For the Swannies, look, I think where they fell down was they kicked 5 points in the second quarter. I reckon that really, really hurt them where they had a chance. But Michael Tinker, Paul Fry, Justin Madden, well, I don't know what Harry's going to do, but he's kicking, he's the same. But Foxy, he gets a lot of kicks from the pocket. I think he's got to try and push himself out a little bit. I know it's easier said than done, but push maybe open up a little bit of space for him so he can lead down more of the centre corridor because he's having a lot of shots from the pockets. And look, he ended up with 4 goals, 6. Andrew Reardon started back, went forward. Look, he's just a good player. Caden Antonovich, he was terrific, I thought. He's
Gun.
4 goals.
4 goals
I'll
too.
tell you what, he played really well.
Yeah, 4 goals. He was lively. He pushed up the ground a little bit, and I like to see Caden more up the ground and then running back onto the full forwards because he's such a good sweeper. Tommy Priest was good. Matty Keys, I thought on the day he was beaten at centre half back, but I think he's going to be a pretty handy player from him. And a kid by the name of Sam Gemmell, he was also very, very impressive. But I thought the Swans, Foxy, take away that second quarter where they just kicked 5 points. I thought they're actually a better side than I thought they were, the Swans.
Yeah, and
3 or 4 to come back in.
Mate, they've still got
them up.
The unique thing about the Swans, and a couple there that Tommy Priest was very good, I thought, and BJ Squire started off slow, then his speed. He's a very fleet of foot player, very, very quick player. When he was up and about and running really, really hard, made a big difference. I'd love to spend some time with Harry Madden. Harry, I reckon I watched it on the weekend, and I reckon you can almost predict when you're going to kick a point, when you're going to kick a goal. It's all in your technique, mate. And if you could just spend a little bit more time to it, I think there's 2 areas.
Lewis is the same, isn't he?
Yeah, well,
his technique.
With Big Harry plays a
good player.
Yeah, he's a great player. I'd like to be half as good as Justin Madden.
83 goals last year.
Yeah.
But sometimes he kicks a little bit too close to the man on the mark, and I reckon he's becoming aware of it on his approach, and he just loses that concentration, that split moment. Most players, Johnny, when they're kicking for goal, and you say he's a better kick for goal on the run than what he is from a set shot.
Yeah.
It's because all the technicalities go out of it when you're on the run.
You're snapping, aren't you?
You've got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
I reckon with the big fella, with Big Harry, I reckon it's the arch of his foot that's letting him down on occasions. Your foot's got to be on that even plane. I'd love to spend some time with Harry, but I'd like to be half as good as you too. But if you had to kick straight on Saturday, you're not an orphan because young Caden, as well as what we reckon he played, he missed one from about 20 out. You've got to kick those sort of goals when you're playing quality opposition, and
probably the only thing
had their chances.
Yeah, probably the only thing more is Justin kicked 83 last year and Caden kicked 35. They've got to find some more goal kickers. Yeah. I think the Swans have got to find some more. Look, Quade Johnson started where he left last year. I thought he had a great year last year, and I thought he was really good again at the weekend. But I just think they've got to find some more goal kickers. Just to, they need 3 or 4 more blokes to kick between 20 and 30 goals.
Yeah, Joshy Chapman told me I was no good, that I got off the Swans bandwagon.
I'll tell you what,
and I haven't.
What about, I wouldn't mind sending a cheerio to Caden's good.
Whoa, hey, batting above his average there. Hi, Daisy. That's her name, Daisy. But I saw his old man there moving pictures. What about me? He was more ink than pink. How are you, gang? Good to see you. But anyway, the Swans are a good side. They're going to be thereabouts come September. Yep, no doubt.
It's a classic game of footy.
It really, really was. Well umpired, and that's the other thing, John.
Yeah,
I'd like to highlight.
was excellent.
Excellent, it really, really was.
Just before we move on to the previews, Foxy, I just want to have a bit of a dig at a few clubs about Friday. We go to get the paper Friday. Look, Shepparton News do a marvellous job to go and put everything into print. But it was really disappointing Friday to go there, and four clubs hadn't even put their sides in the paper. There's only one side that picked a side, and that was Shepparton. All the rest pick from. That's all crap, I reckon.
That's not the paper's fault.
No. That's what I'm saying. This is the club's fault, and the clubs have got to do better than that. And to have 4 clubs not send their sides in, I think is very disappointing. Then you pick up the paper again today, Some have got the best players, some have they haven't got the full details. People want to see that. So for God's sake, clubs, you've got the things of the league now to do it, and because your supporters, that's what they're looking for.
Okay, well, we better go through just briefly what happened last week. In the game, United played Shepparton, and United got over the line by 35 points. It was a great game of football. Kyabram got a bit of a scare from the doggies. I think they were expecting a bigger win than what they had. But they, nonetheless, when you win by 31 points, you've done the job. Benalla, well, spoke to Luke Morgan during the week. He was pretty happy with a performance, a team performance he called it, and he was really happy with the 64-point win. Rochester, well, I was hoping Tatura would show a little bit more than what they did, but I'm not writing them off. Rochi may be better than what we realise, and they went down to the tune of 56 points. Mooroopna, in a ripper, finished 7 points in front of the Swans. Sees our ladder like this, and bear in mind that Seymour and Euroa have not opened their accounts. Benalla on top with 4, Rochi, Kyabram, United and Mooroopna, and then the rest followed up by the Swans, Shepparton, Tatura, Echuca, Mansfield and Seymour and Euroa are yet to score. On the goal kickers, I'll just give you the top 3, and they are Daniel Willis from Shepparton's on 6, Josh Mellington from Benalla. Good on you, Josh. He kicked 6, and Big Curbs kicked 5. I knew he kicked a few curbs, and if I was an umpire, Paul, I would have given you 2 votes for kicking 5 in a losing side, but that's just me.
You're pumping your own tyres up in the middle.
But to talk about this week's game, the Swans take on Shepparton. JR.
Yeah, look, we've probably touched on the Swans and some of the good players there, as we spoke about Harry and Caden there before, and Squires. As we said just before, Guy, probably the disappointing thing for Bestie would have been that 5 points. Last year they only played the once, Foxy, and it was round 18 before they played each other, and it was a draw. Wasn't it? You know, so it was a cracker. I think the interesting for the Swannies, the next 4 games, you know, after the Shepparton game, they got United as a toughie, they got Benalla as a toughie, then you got Echuca and Mansfield. So, you know, they've probably got a 2-on-2 situation, and they've got a, so it's this week is very important that they get over Shepparton. Shepparton, well, as we said, Willis, I think he kicked 4 in the first quarter. He's obviously good. Nicky Allen, Shawnee Harrop, Rowan Hitchcock, you know, Reece O'Sullivan, Ash Holland. They've got all these blokes who can play. Rupert Sangster, Sam Bowmaker, Nicky Roker, but Shep in there, next 4, Mooroopna, Rochi, Mansfield, Echuca. So they haven't got a bad run. But look, I just think the Swans, they impressed me. I think they're a better side than I thought they were going to be, Foxy, and I think they'll get over the Shepparton boys.
Well, I think it's going to be a great contest. I really do. I think it's going to be a lot closer than what people think. But I think the Swans will carry enough to beat Shepparton as well. Guy?
Yeah, I think the Swans will get the job done, boys. But in saying that too, though, Shep bears 35 points down to United. I know there's no loss that's admirable, but a side that is coming up from the bottom of the ladder, that to me for Brad Campbell would have to be some promising signs there.
Oh, Brad's a realist. I saw.
Well, they kicked 14-9.
Yeah.
So, you know,
he spoke really well last week. He knows exactly where his boys are.
Oh, yeah.
He'd be reasonably pleased. Reasonably, I don't think he'd be over the moon, but he'd be reasonably pleased with their performance on the weekend. Guy, you've got your mob Euroa take on Mansfield, and you're playing at home?
At home, boys. Yep. So we take on Mansfield. A little bit of a rivalry there, but it'll be an interesting game this week, I think. Last year, round 1, Euroa got the points by 44 points. I don't think it'll be as close this year. However, it is going to be a good game of footy. So we've got some good names going around. I think Euroa, where their downfall may be a little bit this year is we need to get some goal kickers over there at Magpie Land. We had our coach last year kick 32 goals, and then followed by a bloke called Stuart Patton who kicked 20. So we're going to need a target up forward. But in saying that too, we've there's been some good recruits come in. A couple of small, are going to be a real small forward line this year. Over the page to Mansfield, Burberry last week kicked 2 against Benalla. The ruckman Big Mark Jones, our boys this week will have their work cut out in that department. Jamie Sheehan, good to see him back over at Mansfield, boys. Jimmy Hopgood returning as well. Big Benny Fagan kicked 2 last week. Next 4 for Mansfield after that, Seymour, Tat, Shep and Swans. So they haven't got a bad next 4 games afterwards, but I tell you what, it's going to be a close game this week.
Yeah, look, probably the disappointing thing for Mansfield last week, 2 goals forward at half time. They kicked 2 points in the second quarter. So Simon would be really disappointing with that. But they've only kicked 4 goals in the next 2 quarters. They kicked 2 in the third, Foxy, and they kicked 2 in the last quarter. So, 6 goals, 6 are not going to win you many games. No. So, I think Euroa, even though they haven't played at this stage, Euroa are a harder side to beat at home. And they're going to look at those scores and say, you're right, last year in round 18, Mansfield won by 39 points, but they did beat them first up by 44 points at home. So, look, I'll go for Mansfield, but I think Euroa a bit of a chance here.
I think both sides are very similar in that I think this week the game's going to be won out of midfield, honestly, because there's no tall targets, there's no 100-goal kickers. I think the game will be won and lost out of midfield.
Adam Tarrant, how's he, mate? Fit?
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Missed a lot of footy last year with his hamstring, but he is flying.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, I think what you said is the centre clearances play a huge role. There's not a more honest player in this competition than Big Mark Jones, and he'll give the Mansfield boys first use of the footy. And Mansfield are getting used to not only training on the big ground, but they can now play on a big ground. Last Saturday was not such a good day for them.
And coming up against Quad.
Well, we come up against a very, very good side.
Yeah.
So therefore, I would say that Mansfield for me in a close game of football.
I'm going to go for your old boys.
Okay, so it's 2 versus 1. I've got Echuca versus Kai. Well, I can tell you right now, last week Echuca lost by 56 points to Rochi. Kai beat Tat by 31. Now Echuca, well, I think Scotty Beattie got injured last week in early days.
Nose and cheekbone, I think, Foxy,
Nose and cheekbone, so he's out of action for a little while. Their first game players, John Lockie Collins, Joel Donahue and Brad Phillips.
By all reports, good.
Yeah, okay then. So then you've still got your likely Liam Wilkins is a good player, we know that. They'll obviously miss Beattie. Then they've got Carmody and Pollock and these sort of... Pollock's a great player and he really is, and he'd be the stalwart there. Did the little fella play on the ball last week, boy from Collingwood that went to...
Buckley, yep.
He must have had a quiet one.
No, he was okay.
Okay.
No, played well.
All right, well, I think they got Kai. Now, Kai, when you go through the names, it's still the same old names. They tell me, John, you were there, Sam Sheldon was very, very good.
Sammy Sheldon, without a doubt, his first half is the best game. First half is the best game I've ever seen him play, Kai.
Yeah.
He looks heaps fitter. They played him off half-back. And look, across from his cousin Tommy on the other side, well, we know he's a champion. But Sammy Sheldon, he was very impressive last week, particularly in the first half.
Justin Sherman, did you see much of Sherman?
Yeah, look, Sherman, of course, the coach, went and introduced myself before the game and said he's watched the show a few times. So
good on you, Justin.
He said that's before he came down here. So he said everyone on Melbourne watches. I said, well, you're only human. That's good. But he started on the wing. And I think one of his things is a big thing about the wings. Didn't mind him there, but looked a totally different player when he went half forward. I thought when he come across the half forward line, like he finished up kicking 3, but when he was across the half forward line, he looked dangerous. He didn't look dangerous on the wing. He's got a good turn of pace, but across the half forward line with the Roman Commission, I think that's where he's got to play at GVL footy, and I thought he was very, very good.
Well, looking at it, when you see names like Chrissy Atkins, what a player, Nicole Stock, Sammy Sheldon, Jason Morgan, Luke Morris, Tommy Sheldon, the list goes on and on and on. For me, Kyabram pretty easily.
Yeah, Billy Durston also, he kicked a couple of Fox and they moved him down. He's a new recruit. I think he'll just get better as he goes along. But yeah, I'm Kyabram too.
This is a beauty, Johnny. United Mooroopna.
Yeah, United Mooroopna. Well, as we seen last week, the United boys, they got over by 35 points over Shepparton. And of course, Mooroopna got over the Swans by 7 points. But gee, this is going to be a cracking game. Daniel Campbell kicked 4 from him. Come across from the Swans. So, Piggy, you've done a really good job there. Paul Curry, you talk about your tall forwards. And I think the biggest thing with United is they've got tall forwards. But when they learn to get the swoopers under these tall forwards, they're going to be a very, very dangerous side. Sean Hoy, they said, was that far best on the ground, Foxy. They reckon he was just absolutely outstanding, Sean Hoy. Shane Nevers, the big ruckman, he's going to be a very, very good player, and it's really good to see a bloke like Ryan Butler. He's fit, his body's standing up, and he's been really, really good. And he's a great player. Matty Rendini, we know how good he is. Jesse McIntyre, McInerney, kicked a couple along with Justin Davis, Shannon Campbell. We know they're workhawkers, but if you have a look at it in their second and third quarters, they kicked 6 goals in both those quarters. So, they're up and about. There's no doubt about that. For the Mooroopna side, well, we spoke about Shane McDonald. There's no doubt the United boys, maybe a Shannon Campbell's got to try and sit on him, but like his little black pole villa, this bloke, he's strong and he's a good player. Trent Freer was terrific. Dean Smith, as we spoke about, was terrific. Charlie Burrows, he kicked 16 goals last year for him, and he's kicked 3 at the weekend. Daniel Lewis, he's just going to have a day out soon, and some of those hangers, he's either going to break his collarbone or break his neck or kick 10 one day.
Or touch the clouds.
Yeah, touch the clouds. Brett Ario, it'll be interesting to see how he goes on Deacon, but as I said, he just needs to improve his overhead marking. Jesse Webster, he impressed me. He just ran out. Didn't run out of legs. He was buggered in the end.
Oh, that's a word you're looking for. Yeah, you're spot on.
Well, he looked as though he'd been kicked in the agates at the end. He just couldn't run at all. But last year, the 2 games, the Mooroopna won by 3 points and 35 points. So United have that in the back of their memory, boys, that they didn't get over him last year.
Charlie Burrows posed problems for the opposition last weekend.
He's smart. I think he's a bloke who gets under the radar.
Yeah, my word, he does.
He kicked 16, as I said, 16 last year, but he's a bloke that's capable of kicking you 30 or 40, because they're worrying about all these other guys. But no, they're a good side, Mooroopna. They're 2 very good sides, so if you want to get to a good game this weekend, get to this one.
I'll tell you what it's worth doing. Just go down and have a look. The boy, I know we've spoken about him, but Shane McDonald's one of the most powerful kicks I've seen in this competition. Sheldon's brilliant.
And deadly.
Tommy Sheldon's good, and Tim Libby's great, but this boy's a right footer. Yeah. And I tell you what, he's got old-fashioned skills, but I tell you what, he's effective, and he is a hard nut. Don't worry about that. Take a bit of cracking. So for me, 2, I think United at home.
I'm going Mooroopna.
Okay, Guy?
I'll go Mooroopna.
All right, then. Well, you better tell us all about Benalla and what a game this is going to be.
Benalla,
and Seymour. I'll be there with...
That's at Benalla.
Yep.
We'll be at Benalla. We'll be out there. So we
come up to say good day.
Especially hope for a cup of tea and scones.
Yep. And if you're throwing pies, that's it. You want to eat.
Yeah, boys, Benalla Seymour, obviously last week beat Mansfield by 64 points. Probably would have been expected after the year that they've had last year. Joshy Mellington, 6 goals, so we know the ability that he's got, and hopefully he can keep that going. Lukey Morgan kicked 3. Sam Martin, the boy who's returning, kicked 2. Blokes like Lockie Smith, Will Martinello, James Martinello, their list, we spoke about this last week, boys, how good their list is. Ryan Colbert, the Paul Pratts, and, Nick Warner. Their next 4 games after this week are Euroa, Swans, Kai and Rochester, so not too bad a draw. Last year, Benalla, 73 points and 89 points respectively, but I don't think the margin's going to be as big this year.
No, definitely not, Guy. I'm with you there. I think Seymour will improve a fair bit. I think it'll be a hard task out there. But as you said before, Foxy, hit on the head with Seymour. The Colbert boys are back fit. Sard with his 82. You've got Cole, Meredith, Wheeler, Scopel, Roberts, Bongetti, Scanlon, Lorraine.
I'm looking forward to seeing Bongetti play.
So am I.
He's
come with big raps, and if you don't, we'll give it to you.
No, he will. He will. If you're going to whack ahead, I haven't ever met you, big fella, but they tell me you don't mind saying.
He doesn't be big. Yeah, I'll say Foxy said.
My word, he does. But look, obviously you'd think Benalla would be specials, but don't underestimate the boys.
I just want to ask one more thing there, boys, too.
Yeah.
How do you think for a bloke like Paul Colbert coaching that side, you've got Sard who's kicked 82 goals last year. We know
Brent Colbert.
Sorry, Brent Colbert.
Yep.
Sorry, Jay. And we know Sard's a superstar.
Yeah.
Where do you fit Bongetti in that forward line?
Centre forward.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Because with Seymour, a little bit like the other sides when we said they've got to find more goal kickers. They just can't keep... Sard each year is getting older and older, but he's still playing really, really good football. But they now have got to find a 30, 40 or 50 goal kicker. Now, Colbert's capable of doing it. Brett Colbert, we know, come off the half-back flank as a superstar off that half-back flank. But, Jason Cole and, Scan or Jake Lorraine, these are the blokes they've got to find, Foxy, I think, to find more goals.
You've forgotten blokes, I'll tell you what, though, Harrison Wheeler. Rory Scope. These kids can play, they can bob up and kick a goal or two. And it should be a great game.
If you've got Paul Colbert down there and you've got these blokes crumbing under and you've got Bongetti, that gets back to the United scenario where you've got to have those crumbers.
Who's going to win it, JR?
Well, look, I reckon I'll stick with Benalla at home, but I think this is going to be an absolutely super game, and I'm going to just go for Benalla, Nathan.
Yeah, it'd be a good game, boys, but I think Benalla by probably 2 or 3 goals.
I think Benalla will win it and win it comfortably. And the only reason I'm saying comfortably is because The Seymour boys haven't had the opportunity to do a bit of bonding and gelling together. I think the Seymour we see through from round 1 to round 4 is going to be completely different to the Seymour we see at round 18. So they might drop a game or two that you wouldn't expect to, but they're going to come home hard, the mighty Lions. Well, the last game of the week, and it looks to be a beauty too. John on paper, Rochi play host to Tatura up there. Now, on the weekend, Tat lost to Kyabram by 31 points, but they weren't disgraced.
No.
Now, Rochi, they were 56-point winners over Echuca. A lot to we've got to work out a little bit more into the season to see how we're going. They tell me Heath Aitken played pretty well, John.
Played very well.
Elliot Bowens kicked 3. Jacob Perry kicked a couple. Nick O'Connor, Ash Watson is an absolute superstar player in the competition, and we know that. And Sammy Brennan, again, like the boy Jones.
He starred Sammy Brennan.
Yeah, well, he just tries everything. When he's got that jumper on.
Super player, but a better bloke. He's a fantastic bloke, Sammy Brennan.
Yeah, and that's what everyone said. And Elliot Bowen's a gentleman of the competition too, an absolute ripper. And I've never met or spoken to Ash Watson, but...
Great fella.
Good bloke. All reports are he's an absolute
Daniel
rimmer.
Anderson, looked at a good bunch of blokes.
Now, if you look to the flip side, they've got Tat, and Tat will have James Hall this week, John. Is there a clarity on that?
Wall and McGough will be in this week, I reckon.
They've got Jamison Daniels. Well, we know Jamison's a premiership player and played very well in a winning side. Paul Kirby, I've spoken enough about him. They've still got Tommy Miller, Billy Lovell, their household names. Ryan McGough's a good player. Robert Kirby is Paul's brother, of course.
He was all right last week.
Yeah, and then you've got boys like Beale and Borelli. I think the Tatura people have got to be a little bit patient with Tat. They've lost that many. It might take halfway through the year before young Jamison gets his point across. But the reports I'm hearing about you, Jamison, doesn't surprise me really, because you've been around, you played a bit of footy, you're a great talker, great motivator, and you've got the boys to the fitness level they have to be at this competition. I reckon you're doing everything right, but winning, and I don't think I can help you on the weekend. I think Rochester got your measure, mate. I'm sorry.
Yeah, look, I think Rochester last week, they had 12 goal kickers, boys, for 16 goals. So that means they're sharing the ball really well. It's interesting, the last 2 games of last year, they won by 11 points and 8 points, Rochester. And Tat kicked 68 points in both games, and Rochester kicked 79 and 76. But the Bulldogs, probably the disappointing quarter last week was in the second quarter where they only kicked 1 goal too, but they came out in the third and took it right up to them, kicked 5 goals too in that third quarter, and gee, it was anyone's game. But he's a young kid there by Liam Borelli. He really impressed me at the weekend. You spoke about Miller and Lovell, they were really, really good. Big curbs, gives them that vocal point down forward. But look, I just think Rochi, too much going from boys, and I think they'll win this game. Well, your first 5 or 6 games set you up, so if they're going to make finals, they have to win these games, not pretend they're going to win, they have to win them.
All right, that just about winds up for this show. Just want to think before we go, you would have noticed we are wearing the new GB Footy Show shirts. There's no...
steel line sign's getting bigger, and it must be in their muscles pushing.
Yeah, there's no steel line bag to give away this week. I'd put it over his head if I had one here. But I'd like to thank Nathan Harper and what's his face here?
Guy Morphy.
Yeah, I couldn't think of his name. He's just waxing that much money. Anyway, Guy Morphy and Nathan Harper.
Provide us with the shirt.
They are major sponsors.
This one here.
They've helped them out with us before, and of course, Steel Line are fantastic. And good on you, Guy, for being involved. You're getting better and better every week. We're going to talk about the hairdo, and we're going to incorporate the use of makeup from now on. I think the sooner we do that, and we'll remove the bolts from the Gregory Peck. All right. So on behalf of Guy Morfitt and John Ryan,
ciao.
Bye-bye.